having your coffee and breakfast or evening snacks, whatever. Yes, so I hope you've understood whatever we had discussed before the break. Before moving on to the next topic, we had discussed about the types of offers. So special, which is made to a definite person; general, made to the public at large; cross, identical offers in ignorance; counter, modification of the original offer; and standing, which is open for acceptance over a period of time. What do you think? What do you think? Offer is over? What do you think? This topic, offer is over? No, this is just the beginning. Now, just as we had contract which has essentials, these essentials also have some essentials. Contract is there which has certain essentials. Under these essentials, each of them has certain conditions. When these are fulfilled, only then it is valid. So, what we are going to do is the essentials of a valid offer. So, legal rules of offer. Give the heading and then we will start. Give the heading and then we will start. Done? We'll start? Yes. So I want everyone's attention here. The first one, an offer to be valid. An offer to be valid must be definite, clear, and not vague. And definite, clear, not. What is not vague? Unclear. What is not vague? Vague means unclear. I'm sorry. Not vague means not unclear. It is absolutely clear. What do we mean by this? See, when I'm making an offer to you, it should be such that if you see that offer, you are able to understand what I'm trying to tell you. I repeat again, when I make an offer to you, the terms of the offer should be simple and clear so that the person to whom it is made can easily understand the offer. For example, if you remember in the beginning, in the today's class at the beginning, we had discussed this case where A says to B, I want to sell you 100 liters of oil. Right? He did not specify which oil he is talking about. He did not specify which oil he is talking about. So, because it is not clear, the offer is not valid. So, I repeat again, when we talk about an offer, the terms of the offer must be definite, they must be clear. If it is not clear, offer is not valid. And even if you accept, there will never be a contract. Let us say A has 3 cars. Okay, A has 3 cars. Now, this A says to B, I want to sell you my car. So, I repeat again, A has 3 cars. A says to B, I want to sell you my car. Is it a valid offer? I repeat again, A has 3 cars. A says to B, I'll sell you my car. Is it a valid offer? No, because which car was not specified. Since which car was not specified, this offer is not clear. Since which car is not specified, so because he has not specified which car he is talking about, so the offer is vague, it is not clear, and the offer is not valid. So the offer is not valid. Is it clear to everyone? Yes? Now, sometimes I feel, will I ever be? Anyway, chalo. A says to B, I will sell you 100 liters of oil or specific oil. Chalo. Oil we have already discussed. So, olive oil at rupees 40 or rupees 50 per liter. Is it a valid offer? Think and tell me, is it a valid offer? Please don't come to conclusions. You just give it a thought and then give, obviously I'm not there in front of you, so I cannot hear your answer. But as I told you, your answer should be there when I am discussing a case. So, I repeat again, A says to B, I will sell you 100 liters of olive oil at rupees 40 or rupees 50 per liter. Is it a valid offer? Is it a valid offer? Why not? Because rupees 40 or rupees 50 is not definite. It is not definite. Because it is not definite, it is unsure, it is not, clear. It's not a valid offer. Is it clear to everyone? Now, I'm just rephrasing this case. A says to B, I'll sell you 100 liters of olive oil at a price which you may be able to pay. A says to B, I will sell you olive oil, 100 liters of olive oil at a price which you may be able to pay. This is valid, no? This is valid, right? At a price which you may be able to pay. This is absolutely valid. No. Why at a price which you may be? He will to say, I will not pay only, I'll only pay 1 rupee. Is it possible? No. So, at a price which you may be able to pay is a very vague term, and so it's not valid. Right? A says to B, I will buy your house if you put it through repairs and get it handsomely decorated. A says to B, I will sell you my house if you put it through repairs and get it handsomely decorated. Is it a valid offer? This was a real case. So, is it a valid offer? A says to B, I will sell you my house if you, I will buy your house if you put it through repairs and get it handsomely decorated. Is it a valid offer? How do you define handsomely decorated? There is no definition for it. What may be handsome to you may not be handsome to me. Beauty lies in the eyes of the beholder. Have heard, no? Huh? What may be luxury to you may be a necessity to me. What may be handsome to you, I would be like, you would be like, oh wow, I will like, right? So, what is handsomely decorated is again a very vague term. It is not clear, and so the offer is not valid. So, an offer to be valid must be definite, clear, and not vague. You know, I'll tell you, these husbands, they'll give all these dialogues to their wife. Meri Johnny Bahar, Johnny Jigar, Johnny Tamanna, Meri Chamak Chalo. I promise to give you rupees 5,000 per week for your personal expenses as long as I can. A husband says to his wife, my dear wife, I will give you 5,000 rupees per week for your personal expenses as long as I can. Is it a valid offer? Now, don't say it's a domestic. I'm just talking about offer. I'm not talking about a contract. I am just talking about offer. Right? So, please don't say it's domestic because we have studied domestic. No. My question is it a valid offer or not? Why husband says to his wife, I'll give you 5,000 rupees per week for your personal expenses as long as I can. Is it a valid offer? As long as I can is a very vague term, and because it's vague, it's not valid. So, to make an offer valid, it should be definite, it should be clear, it should not be vague. If it is vague, the offer is not clear, it is not valid. Is it clear to everyone? Yes, let's write this point and then we'll go to the next point. Done? Yes. So moving on to the next point. The second point says that the offer must be made with an intention to create a legal relationship. If you remember, when I was teaching you essentials, I told you that whether an agreement is a contract or not depends on the intention of the parties. So if my intention in making an offer to you was to bind you legally, and your acceptance was also to bind me legally, it's a contract. So basically, when I make an offer to you, the intention behind me making an offer is same. It is that I want to create a contract. So when I make an offer to make a contract, the intention should be to create a legal relationship. Then the next one is offer may be express or implied, right? Offer may be express or implied. Now when we say offer may be express or implied, what is express? It is by words, right? It is by words. A says to B, I want to sell you my car. What kind of an offer is it? Express. It is by words. So when we say express offer, what is express offer? It is by words. It is an offer which is made between the parties by the words of the parties. What is implied? You would say, ma'am, by law or by action. Agreed. The word implied means by law or by action. But please understand, we cannot have an offer by law, right? I repeat again, whenever I use the word implied, yes, the first thing is, yes, implied means it is by law or by actions. Yes, that is the meaning of the word. But it is not necessary that both the meaning will go at every place. In some case, it is both. In some case, it may be only actions. In some case, it may be only law. There is nothing like an offer by law. An offer is never made by law. So when we say implied, so that law thing is gone. So what is left? By actions. So what is an implied offer? By actions. Offer which is made by the acts of the party. The acts of the party suggests the making of an offer. What do we mean by this? Bus plying on the road from the destination 1 to destination 2, right? And this is the route it takes. This is an offer to the public. Is the bus required to stop at every passerby? Hey, come, I am going to this destination, I will drop you. Come. You say, no. The fact that the bus is plying on this route is an offer to the public. If you want to avail of my service, you may. And this is an implied offer. So, bus plying on the road is what? Implied offer. ATM machines put up everywhere. Do they hire a person to be there? I mean, the guard is there, that's different. But otherwise, do they hire, hey, you have a card, come, we'll withdraw cash. No. The machine being there, it is what? It is an offer to the public that if you want to avail of our service, you may. And this is what? Implied offer. Ma'am, yesterday you told us, yesterday when we were doing tacit contract, you told us tacit. Now you are telling implied. Ma'am, we are totally confused. Please understand that was a contract, this is an offer. Is there a difference? Yes. Please understand, yesterday when I said that same example for tacit contract, and here I am saying it for implied offer, that was a contract, this is offer. Is there a difference? Yes. Offer is just the first stage. Unless accepted, there is no contract. I am making an offer, that's just the first stage. Unless you accept it, there is no contract at all. So the bus plying on the road is just an offer. When you step onto the bus, your act shows that you have accepted the offer, and then there is a contract. ATM machines put up everywhere is just an offer. When you go to the machine with your card and withdraw cash, then there is a contract. It is an acceptance and then there is a contract. So if you remember, I told you yesterday, do not write bus. Write stepping onto the bus. Do not write ATM machine, write ATM machine, withdrawing cash from the ATM. Now you understood why? If you have not written, please, when you are writing these points, write there also the entire thing. Is it clear to everyone? Yes. So when we say express, what is an express offer? An offer which is made by the words of the parties. What is an express offer? An offer which is made by the words of the parties. What is implied? It is an offer which is made by the acts of the parties. Offer which is made by the words of the parties. I'm so sorry, by actions of the parties. Now, when it is expressed, can I also say it may be oral or written? So the next point kind of comes from this only. It may be oral or written. Are these 3 points clear? Yes, please write these 3 points down and then we'll move to the next point. Done? Yes, can we move to the next one? Okay, now listen carefully. You all must have come across these situations in your life also. I don't know, you know this guy or not, but there was this guy by the name of Prem. Just give me a second. There was this guy by the name of Prem and he was in love with Jenny. I don't know, you know this guy or not. I don't know you watched this movie or not. Anyway, so Prem was in love with Jenny, but he could not really go and tell this to Jenny. He was scared that she may reject, and he was that kind of a guy who couldn't actually, he would just couldn't speak in front of Jenny. So finally he was so pissed off, so he goes to Love Guru and he says to Love Guru, I am in love with Jenny and I want to marry her, right? So he loves Jenny and he goes and tells Love Guru that he wants to marry her, right? So I repeat again, Prem is in love with Jenny but does not have the guts to go and tell this to Jenny. So he goes to Love Guru and says to Love Guru that Love Guru, I am in love with Jenny and I want to marry her. Is it a valid offer? Is it a valid offer? He says to Love Guru that I want to marry Jenny. Is it a valid offer? Yeah. Yes, right? No, ma'am. He wants to marry Jenny. He should go and tell Jenny, no? And he understand my feelings. No. Feelings, huh? Is it valid? Law doesn't understand your feelings. What the act says is that the offer must be communicated to whom? To the offeree. Unless you communicate your offer to the offeree, how will your offeree come to know about it and how will he accept it? So for acceptance, there should be some communication. So offer must be communicated to the offeree. Offer must be communicated to the offeree. Only when the offer is communicated to the offeree, then he can accept it. So offer must be communicated to the offeree. Is it clear to everyone? Yes. Now he goes to Love Guru and he says to Love Guru, Love Guru, I am in love with Jenny and I cannot go and tell her, so you go and propose her. Sorry, I'm so sorry. He goes to Love Guru and he says to Love Guru, I am in love with Jenny, but I cannot tell this to her, so you please go and tell her on my behalf that I want to marry her. Right? So he says to Love Guru that you go and tell her about my proposal. So I repeat again, A is in love with Jenny, but Prem is in love with Jenny but cannot go and tell this to Jenny. So goes to Love Guru and says to Love Guru that please go and tell Jenny that I want to marry her. Is it a valid offer? No ma'am, he should go and tell. Why? They are saying communicated to the offeree. I can use any person to communicate or any mode to communicate. Right? I can use an agent to communicate. Yes or no? Is it mandatory that I should go and tell? No, I can use an agent to go and tell this. So I must tell you about my offer. But it is not necessary that it has to come out from my mouth. I can use another person also to communicate and it's absolutely valid. We have agents, right? So the whole point is that the offer must be communicated to the offeree. It can be directly or through any person or any medium, but it should be communicated. So the next rule says offer must be communicated to the offeree. Is it clear to everyone? Yes. Now from this point only we get the next point. I want everyone's attention here. The name of the case was Lalman Shukla versus Gauri Dutt. What happened in this case was this lady, she has lost her nephew. Right, this lady, she had lost her nephew, so she asked her servant to search for the nephew. Later, she puts an ad in the newspaper that anyone who finds the nephew will get a prize money of 5,000 rupees. Right? A lady, she had lost her nephew, so she says to her servant that please go and search for my nephew. Later she puts an ad in the newspaper that anyone who finds my nephew will get a prize money of 5,000 rupees. You have to tell me, is this a valid contract? I'm so sorry. Now the servant comes back with the nephew and claims the prize money. Can the servant claim the prize money? So I repeat again, a lady, she had lost her nephew, so she asked her servant to go in search of the nephew. Later she puts an ad in the newspaper that anyone who finds my nephew will get a prize money of 5,000 rupees. The servant comes back with the nephew and claims the money. Will the servant get the money? Will the servant get the money? So she had asked her servant to go in search of the nephew. Later she puts an ad in the newspaper. Anyone who finds my nephew will get a prize money of 5,000 rupees. So the question that arises here is, when the servant comes back with the nephew, can the servant claim the prize money? Give it a thought and then tell me what will happen. Yes. So will the servant get the money? Now here the question is, why did the servant go in search of the nephew? Because the offer was there, or because she was the servant who was ordered by the master? He was ordered by the master. When he was ordered by the master and he went off in search of the nephew, was the offer even there? No. So if the offer is not there, how can you accept it? Can you accept the offer today believing that tomorrow the offer will be made? I repeat again, what the rule says is, an offer cannot be accepted in ignorance of the offer. To accept an offer, there should be an offer which I know about and only then I can accept it. When the servant went in search of the nephew, please understand, when the servant went in search of the nephew, why did he go? Because he was ordered by the master, or because he saw the offer? Because he was ordered by the master. When he went in search of the nephew, was the offer even there? No. So if something is not there, how can I accept it? But ma'am, maybe no, he found it on the way that there is such an offer. Yes, absolutely, you are correct. But The fact, why did he go in search? The thing is that why did he act? Did he act because of the order, or did he act because of the offer? He acted because of the order. And when he acted, was the offer even there? No. Can I accept today something in the hope that tomorrow you will make an offer? Can an offer be accepted in anticipation of the offer? Can an offer, see, there is a very simple procedure. Offer is there and only then acceptance can be there. You are making a cup of tea. You are making a cup of tea. Can you put the tea leaves first, or you should put the water and milk first? Tell me. You are making the tea. You are making a cup of tea. So, will you ever put the tea leaves first, or will you first pour in the milk and water and then the tea leaves? Obviously, milk and water. So, if you are making a contract, can you first give acceptance and then offer? No. Offer always has to precede, right? It always has to come before. It always has to come before acceptance. Can I accept an offer believing that the offer will be made? No. Can an offer be accepted in ignorance? No. Can an offer be accepted in anticipation of the offer? No. When the offer is only not there, how can I accept it? Listen carefully. This lady, she lost her nephew and put an ad in the newspaper that anyone who finds my nephew will get a prize money. Right? This lady, she lost her nephew and she put an ad in the newspaper that anyone who finds my nephew will get a prize money. Now what happened was, you did not see the ad. You did not see the ad. You saw the nephew was sitting and crying. You are like, what happened? He tells you the story. You are like, okay, I'll take you home. You know, he says, yes, I know. When you are taking him home, you saw the ad in the newspaper. You go to the lady and you say, lady, please give me my prize money. Are you entitled to claim the money? I repeat again, you have not seen the newspaper ad. You have not seen the newspaper ad. You see the nephew is crying and you ask him what happened. He says, I am lost. You say, don't worry, I'll take you back home. Right? I will take you back home. When you are taking him back home, on the way you saw the newspaper ad. So when you reach that lady's place, you claim the money. Are you entitled to get the money? Will you get the money? No. But ma'am, how will the lady know that I don't know about the offer? That is not my concern. I am not going to the practical situation. As per the given case, whatever facts are given to you, on that basis you have to answer. Can you claim the prize money? No. Because you don't even know about the offer. Because you did not take the child back because you had seen the offer. In fact, after you were taking the child back, you saw the offer. So how can I accept an offer in ignorance? So to accept an offer, there should be an offer which I know about and then accept. If I am not aware of the offer, I cannot accept it. I hope it's clear to everyone. Yes, so offer must be communicated, and from this rule only we get the next rule, and that is that offer cannot be accepted in ignorance. So first let's write this down and then we'll go to the next point. Okay, I guess it's done. Yes, can we move to the next point? Okay, now listen carefully. Can I have an offer like this? A says to B, want to sell you my flat for 20 lakh. If you want to purchase, pay 10 lakh advance and rest 10 lakh in 5 monthly installments, right? I repeat again, A says to B, I want to sell you my flat for rupees 20 lakh. Now don't say, ma'am, which flat? So this is not valid, please. We are talking about one flat only, his flat. So A says to B, I want to sell you my flat for 20 lakh. If you are willing to purchase, pay me 10 lakh advance and the rest 10 lakh in 5 installments. Right? So I repeat again, A says to B, I want to sell you my flat for rupees 20 lakh. If you are willing to purchase, pay me 10 lakh advance and the rest 10 lakh in 5 installments. Tell me, is it a valid offer? Is it a valid offer? Yes? Yes. So that means, can I say offer may be conditional? Yes or no? Yes, offer may be conditional. That means the offerer can put certain conditions subject to which the offer can be accepted. And if the offeree wants to accept it, he must accept those conditions. I repeat again, when I make an offer to you, I can put some clauses in the offer that if you want to accept my offer, you need to fulfill these clauses, and it's absolutely valid. And if you want to accept my offer, you have to fulfill these clauses. So offer may be conditional, and an extension of this rule only, offer may be conditional. Listen carefully. Listen carefully. A says to B, want to sell you my horse. If you don't reply in 10 days, deemed that you accept the offer. Right? We just discussed that offer can be conditional. Now the next case is, A says to B, I want to sell you my horse. Reply within 10 days. If you don't reply within 10 days, I will deem that you have accepted my offer. I will deem that you have accepted my offer. Right? Listen very carefully. We just discussed that an offer may be conditional. Now the next point says, A says to B, I want to sell you my horse. If you want to purchase, reply within 10 days, and if you fail to reply within 10 days, then you have to, I will deem that you have accepted my offer. So if you don't reply, it is a deemed acceptance of the offer. Is it a valid offer? The rule says, listen carefully, so maybe it will help you to understand this. Offer must not contain any term the non-compliance means non-fulfillment of which would amount to acceptance. Right? Offer must not contain any term the non-compliance of which would amount to acceptance. So A says to B, I want to sell you my horse. If you don't reply within 10 days, I will deem that you have accepted my offer. You have to tell me, is it a valid offer? You have to tell me, is it a valid offer? Is it a valid offer? Ajay, tell me one thing. If I want to accept, I will say it by my words, I will say it by my actions. If I don't want to accept your offer, will I say I don't accept your offer, or I don't reply only? Tell me one thing, if you have made an offer to me and I don't want to accept it, so when I don't want to accept it, do I really write back, I am sorry, I don't want to accept it? Or my not replying is implied that I have not accepted? My not replying is a deemed refusal, right? My non-replying is a deemed refusal. Now here you can, if I want to accept the offer, I will tell you by my words that I accept, or I will tell you by my actions that I have accepted. I repeat again, if I want to accept an offer, I will tell you by my words, okay, I accept your offer. I will tell you by my actions, okay, I accept your offer. How can my silence be treated as an acceptance? So, when you say, if you don't reply, it is deemed that you have accepted my offer. When you say, if you don't reply, it is deemed that you have accepted the offer. Don't you think you are forcing your offer on me? I want to accept the offer. I will accept it by my words, by my actions. How can my silence be treated as an acceptance? So this offer is only not valid. But ma'am, in sale and approval it happens, no? In sale or approval, you keeping the goods after 10 days, your action of keeping the goods is an acceptance. It is not a silence is acceptance. It is your act of keeping the goods is an acceptance. So it's an acceptance made by the act of the party. Right? If I want to accept your offer, I will accept it by my words, by my actions. My silence cannot be acceptance. You would say, ma'am, in sale or return also the same thing is happening. In sale or return, you are retaining the goods beyond the time, so your act shows that you have accepted the offer. So it is not silence, it is your actions. But my silence of not replying to your offer can never be treated as an acceptance, and such an offer itself is not valid. I hope it's clear to everyone. Yes, so let's just write down these 2 points. Done? Yes? Okay, now I am moving to the next point, and please listen to these points carefully, because once we are done with it, you will realize that everything that you thought was an offer is actually not an offer. The last point says, an offer, I want you to write it down, an offer must be distinguished. An offer must be distinguished from a statement of intention, a statement of intention, a statement of price, an invitation to offer. An offer must be distinguished from a statement of intention, a statement of price, and invitation to offer. Right? We'll start. So, did you write? An offer must be distinguished from a statement of intention, a statement of price, and invitation to offer. Now, I want everyone's attention here. Statement of intention. Remember Prem and Jenny? Prem is like, enough is enough, it will not work. So he goes to Love Guru, and this time doesn't say go and tell her. No. He says to Love Guru that, Love Guru, you have to train me. You have to train me so that I can go and tell Jenny that I love her. And you have to do it. So Prem goes to Love Guru and he says to Love Guru that I am in love with Jenny, but I am not able to tell her. So you have to train me in such a way that I can go and tell this to her. So he starts undergoing a training with Love Guru, right? Finally, the day comes when he's supposed to propose. So he goes to Jenny and he says, Miss Jenny, I have achieved so much in my life. In fact, people just think, but I have achieved. You won't believe, I have a happy club in my locality. I have become the president of that club. What else can you ask for? And now I plan to get married by the end of the year 2020. Now, he's waiting. If she says yes, I will marry her. Right? So he goes to Jenny and he says to Jenny that, Miss Jenny, I have achieved everything in my life and my only goal is now to get married by the end of this year. And he is waiting that if Jenny says yes, I'll marry her. Is this a valid offer? He says to Jenny, I plan to marry. Is this a valid offer? Yes or no? How many of you yes? How many of you no? I'm taking a poll like we have the polls on Instagram. So yes, no. Tell me how many of you yes, how many of you no. What do you think? It's yes or no? Is it a valid offer? No. You want to marry her, tell her I want to. But ma'am, he is telling her no. That means, so if I go and tell someone, I cannot say I'm already married. Anyway, if I go and tell someone I want to get married, is it that I'm making a proposal to that other person? I'm just stating what I intend to do. It's not a proposal that I want to marry you. I'm just telling what I intend to do. A statement of intention is not an offer. I come to the class and I say I want to sell my phone. Right? I come to the class and I say I want to sell my phone. Is it an offer? Is it an offer? No. I am just stating what I intend to do, and a statement of intention is not an offer. Here he says I plan to get married, but he in no specific word did he ever say her that I plan to get married to you. It is not a valid offer. Is it clear to everyone? Yes. So a statement of intention is not an offer. Please write the example, then we'll go to the next part. Done? Yes. Should we go to the next part now? Okay. A statement of price. The name of the case was Harvey versus Fassett. The name of the case was Harvey versus Fassett, where A sent a telegram to B, quoting therein, want to purchase your bumper hall pen, quote the lowest price. Right? I repeat again, A sent a telegram to B. Nowadays we don't have telegram. I told you, you will at times you will find things like you will be thinking why it is so, why not like this. So please understand the act was then, right? So A sent a telegram to B stating therein, want to purchase your bumper hall pen, quote the lowest price. Now instead of actually listening to the example, you all will be thinking, what is this bumper hall pen? Now the moment I say bumper hall pen, no one is actually going to listen to what I am saying. Everyone will be lost in bumper hall pen. It is like a type of pen, Cross, Parker, similarly. Now which bumper hall pen? Please, we are not doing PhD in pens. Our PhD is law. So listen. A sent a telegram to B, want to purchase your bumper hall pen, quote the lowest price. B replied back, lowest price 90 pounds. To this A replies, ready and willing to purchase at 90 pounds. Right? A sent a telegram to B, want to purchase your bumper hall pen, quote the lowest price. B replies, lowest price 90 pounds. To this A replies, ready and willing to purchase at 90 pounds. Is there a contract between A and B? Is there a contract between A and B? So I repeat again, first telegram was A sent to B, first telegram, want to purchase your bumper hall pen, quote lowest price. To this reply B gives, to this telegram B replies rather, lowest price 90 pounds. So when A receives this, A replies back, ready and willing to purchase at 90 pounds. So I repeat again, A and B sent three telegrams amongst them. First telegram was from A to B, want to purchase your bumper hall pen, quote the lowest price. To this B replies, lowest price 90 pounds. To this A replies, ready and willing to purchase 90 pounds. Does the reply of A make a contract? Does the reply of A make a contract between A and B? Think and tell me. Does the reply of A make a contract between A and B? फिर से poll. Yes, no, yes, no. Yes, no. Tell me, is this a valid contract or not? Now, first of all, let's talk about the first telegram. There were two questions in the first telegram. Want to purchase your bumper hall pen, quote the lowest price. Right? In the first telegram, there were two statements. Want to purchase your bumper hall pen, quote the lowest price. B replied to that, quote the lowest price. He said lowest price 90 pounds. But did he say that I am ready to sell at 90 pounds? No. I repeat again, A sent a telegram to B, want to purchase your bumper hall pen, quote the lowest price. B replied lowest price this, but did he ever say I want to sell at this price? Ayo ma'am, he is replying, that means he is willing to sell, no? I am not jobless, let's play a game, telegram. You send me one telegram, I will send you one. Hai na? Ma'am, I am not jobless, I am replying, that means I want to sell. Correct, I agree, totally agree. But what law says is, statement of price is not offer. He is just quoting the price. And a statement of price is not an offer. He is not saying I am willing to sell at this price. He is just quoting the price. And as we say, quoting the price is not an offer. Is it clear to everyone? So quoting the price is not an offer. When A says ready and willing to purchase at 90 pounds, A is making the offer, and if B accepts, then there is a contract. If B accepts, then there is a contract. Is this clear to everyone? Are you sure about it? Yes. So when I quote the price, quoting of price does not mean I have made an offer. I am just stating the price at which I am, maybe ready to negotiate or whatever. Is it clear to everyone? So quoting of price, stating of price is not an offer. You can write it down and then we'll go to the next point. Okay, done? Yes. So you will say, but ma'am, this is not done. When I am quoting the price, that means I am willing to sell. Yes or no? Yes, totally agree with this. Let's take another case. Let us say you are very fond of shopping, and since you have joined the CA foundation class, even if you are sitting at home and studying, you are like, Mom, I need a new wardrobe. So you have decided you have to have a new wardrobe irrespective of whether you are stepping out of the house or not. So you go to your mom and you tell her, Mom, I need a new wardrobe. Yeah, okay. Mom, I need a new wardrobe. Yeah, okay, go and buy it once the shops open. Mom, I need a new wardrobe. So okay, buy. I am not stopping you. To give me money, no, then to I buy, no. How much money you want? See, Mom, once the shops open, no, I'm just going to go immediately to buy. I think my jeans will cost me 2,500, 3,000. So I'll buy 4 jeans, 10,000. T-shirts, I'll take the cheaper one, 700, 800. Mom, you give me 15,000. I will adjust money. Mom. Yeah, why not? When you were born, no, I planted a money plant. You grow, plant grow. I will pluck money and give you. But mom, they are like coconut, I'll tell you. Hard from the outside, but very soft from the inside. Yes or no? Your mom is also like that. So she gives you that money. So once you get that money and the lockdown is open or it's over, everything is safe and sound. So you decide malls are open, you decide to go and buy. So many months you have not bought. So you go to buy. You go to the shop to buy some clothes and you see the jeans that you are looking for with a price tag of 250 rupees. Still Ow! I'm not dreaming, I'm awake. It is 250 only. 4 jeans, 1,000 rupees. I save 9,000. 4,000 mom's pocket, 5,000 in my pocket. Next time shopping, mama will give 20,000. Full plan. You go to the shopkeeper, you give him 250. You say, give me that jeans. Ma'am, what are you paying me? The price of the jeans? No, ma'am, this is not the price. This is the price. No, ma'am, this is not the price. This is the price I saw. No, ma'am, this is not the price. You go and check. I saw 10 times. This is the price. He goes, checks, he comes back. I am so sorry, ma'am. By mistake, we forgot to put a 0. I don't care. 0, no value. You forgot, your mistake. You give me for 250. But ma'am, this is not. I don't care. I dreamt what I am going to do with the money I save. You have to give me. But ma'am, that is not my. No. I don't care. You have to give me. Is he bound to sell it to you at 250? Or can he charge 2,500? Tell me. Can he charge 2,500 or he's bound to sell it to you at 250 rupees? Think and tell me. Can he sell it to you at 250? Is he bound to sell at 250 or can he charge you 2,500? Ma'am, 250 only, no? All price tags over the goods are invitation to offer. All price tags over the goods are invitation to offer. The goods on display with the price tag is not an offer, it's an invitation to offer. I am inviting you to make the offer to me. I repeat again, all price tag on the goods are, outside the shop is not an offer, it's just an invitation to offer. I am inviting you to make an offer to me. When you say you want to purchase these goods, you are making the offer, and when I accept, then there is a contract. Price tags on the goods is just an invitation to offer. It is not an offer. What is invitation to offer? In offer, I make an offer to you, you accept, there is a contract. Whereas invitation to offer is one stage before the offer. I repeat again, in offer, what happens? I make an offer to you, you accept, there is a contract. But invitation to offer, it is one step before the offer. In invitation to offer, I invite you to make an offer to me. If I like it, I will accept it. I am repeating it again. In offer, what happens is I make an offer to you, you accept it, there is a contract. I make an offer to you, you accept it, there is a contract. But in invitation to offer is one step before the offer. Here, I invite you to make an offer to me. If I like, only then I will accept. So, it is one step before the offer. In offer immediately results into a contract. Invitation to offer cannot immediately result into a contract. Because I give you an offer, you reply, it's an contract. But when I make an invitation to you, your reply is not a contract. It is just an offer. Let us take a few cases. I say I want to sell my phone to you at this price. I want to sell this glass to you at, let's say, whatever, some price I tell you. This is what? Offer. A definite price I tell you, offer. I say I want to auction this glass. This is what? Invitation to offer. I repeat again, this mug, glass, whatever you say, this mug, I say I want to sell it to you at such and such price. It's an offer. I say I want to auction this mug. Is it an offer? No, it is an invitation to offer. I am inviting you to make the offer. When you make the bid, you are making the offer, and the person who makes the highest bid is the person whose offer is accepted. So what is offer? I make an offer, you accept, there is a contract. Invitation to offer is one step before the offer. I invite you to make an offer to me. If you accept, then there is a contract. I'm so sorry. I make an invitation to you to make an offer to me. When you make an offer and then if I accept, then there is a contract. I hold 100 shares of a company. I tell you I want to sell these shares to you at rupees 100 per share. You tell me. Just think my reply makes a contract or not. That will give you the answer. I tell you I have 100 shares of a company and I want to sell these shares to you at rupees 100 per share if you are willing to purchase. Right? Tell me, is this a valid offer or not? Tell me, is this a valid offer or not? Think and tell me. Is this a valid offer or not? Yes or no? Yes? Yes. If you accept, there is a contract. I am a company and I issue my prospectus. I want to issue my shares to the public and so I issue my prospectus. Here, issuing my prospectus is not an offer. It is an invitation to offer. When you reply subscribing for my shares, you are making an offer, and when I allot, I have accepted your offer. So I repeat again, invitation to offer is one step before the offer. When I issue my prospectus, it is not an offer, it's an invitation. When you seeing that prospectus make an application to take up the shares, you are making the offer, and the person to whom the shares are allotted is the person whose offer is accepted. I hope it is clear to everyone. Yes? Are you sure about it? Yes? Now you will say, ma'am, no ma'am, not done ma'am, how can this price you are saying? Let's take another case. You have seen these self-service shops, yes? Your mom is going to buy some stuff, and I'll tell you, you love buying foodstuffs, okay? You love buying foodstuffs. So your mom, she says, I'm going out. You're like, where are you going, mom? She's like, I'm going to buy some food and provision. Ayo ma, why will you go? I am there, no, I will go. Happy because you love shopping, so you go to this self-service, you have those food bazaar and all, so you go to this self-service shop. There you purchase this also, I'll take this also. Mom gave one list, you made it 4 lists. You, after 4 or 5 trolleys full, you land at the, I told you, you don't land, but the feeling is that you land at the cashier's desk. He looks at you, he looks at your stuff. Sorry sir, I cannot make your bill. Why? You still have time. Yes sir, I have time, but I'm sorry, I cannot make the bill. But why? I'll move. I mean, it is time. It's not time for your shop to close down. Yes, I know sir, but I cannot. Okay, fine. Now, you are very short-tempered. And when we are short-tempered, we don't need a reason to, get angry. We are always angry. So, your temper has already started going up. You are like, okay, fine, I'll move to the next counter. Sir, please don't move to any counters. No one will make your bill. What do you mean? What do you mean? Why have you opened the shop? Since the past 4 hours, I'm shopping, I'm selecting goods. You could have told me then and there you don't want to sell me the goods. If you don't want to sell the goods, why have you opened your shop? Why did you waste my 4 hours? When I entered the shop, you should, sir, shut up. You shut up. You bang his face. I know hitting the cashier was not correct. But you call the manager and you fight. Is your fighting correct or his refusal correct? Is your fighting correct or his refusing to sell the goods correct? Obviously, he should sell the goods. Why has he opened the shop, right? I totally agree. But in the case of Pharmaceutical Society of Great Britain versus Cash Boot Chemist, in the case of Pharmaceutical Society of Great Britain versus Cash Boot Chemist, the court held that all self-service shops are invitation to offer. The goods on display with the price tags is not an offer. It's an invitation to offer. When you select the goods and you pick up and go to the cashier's desk, you are making the offer, and when the cashier makes the bill, the offer is accepted. Obviously, he has opened the shop, he will not refuse, but if he refuses, he's not wrong, he has a right to refuse. I hope it's clear to everyone. Yes? Now, let's take another case. So basically, did you understand the difference between offer and invitation to offer? Yes. So when you want to distinguish, you just need to remember, you just need to think, when I reply, does it make a contract or not? If yes, it's an offer. If no, then it's an invitation to offer. Newspaper ads, brides wanted, grooms wanted, vacancies, you've seen them, no? Offer or invitation to offer? Offer or invitation to offer. Let's say EY puts an ad that we are looking for CAs, right? So this is an offer or an invitation? It's an invitation to offer. Along with all the other applicants, you make an application for the job, you are making the offer, and the person who gets this job is the person whose offer is accepted. So, price tags, price lists, self-service shops, auction sale, issue of prospectus, all of this is what? All of this is what? Invitation to offer. Don't worry, I'll give you time to write. Let's discuss first. So, all of this is what? Invitation to offer. Is it clear to everyone? Discount sale. You have heard since a long time there is discount, finally you go, there is no. No. I saw today paper, it was written, discount is there. But ma'am, we have withdrawn. I don't care. No. You have to give me. But ma'am, the discount. I don't care. I saw in the newspaper, you have to give me. Are they bound? It's an invitation to offer. Newspaper, I'm so sorry. Discount sale is just an invitation to offer. Is it clear to everyone? Yes? But there is one case where newspaper ad is not an invitation to offer. I've already discussed that case with you. There is one case where newspaper ads are not invitation to offer, but they are offer. There is one case where newspaper ads are not invitation to offer, they are offers. Can you tell me? Remember prize money, I have lost my puppy. Anyone who finds the puppy, this is what? This is an offer. This is not an invitation to offer. I hope it's clear to everyone. Yes. So when there is a definite prize money in the newspaper ad, it's an offer. Otherwise, newspaper ads are invitation to offer. Are you clear with this? Yes. What happened in this case was, the name of the case was Harris versus Nickerson. And what happened in this case was, this person, he put an ad in the newspaper for an auction sale. So this person, the person who read the newspaper ad, he went to that place and there was no auction. He says, I want to claim damages. Can he claim the damages? You have made an office for yourself, so you wanted a particular company ka furniture. You go to Mumbai, all the way to Mumbai, because there is an auction. You read it in the newspaper, there is an auction. You go there, it's written, we are sorry for. So what happens is, when you reach Mumbai, you stay in Taj. See, we are CAs, nothing below Taj works for us. So you land at Taj, you stay there, lap in the luxury. Next day morning, at the time of the auction, you go there a little before because you want to sit in front. When you reach there, you see it's written, we are sorry to all the patrons for the inconvenience caused, but the auction has been withdrawn for an indefinite period of time. Now all you can see is the flight tickets, money, Taj luxury. Who will give? All gone in that swimming pool of Taj only. You want to sue that company for price, for damages, for the stay and for the flight tickets. What will you get? You will get nothing. Newspaper ads are invitation to offer. Newspaper ads are what? They are invitation to offer. Any ad in the newspaper is an invitation to offer. Auction sale is an invitation to offer. I'm not making an offer. I'm just inviting you to make an offer, and I'm not bound to accept it. Can you claim anything? Nothing. Is it clear to everyone? Yes. So what happens in offer is, I make an offer, you accept, there is a contract. But invitation to offer is one stage before, or one step, or it is just prior to the offer. Here I invite you to make an offer to me. You make an offer, and if I like it, only then I will accept it. Is this clear to everyone? Yes. There was this case, Snapdeal or Flipkart, I don't remember exactly, where the phone was sold, iPhone, some latest iPhone, in just three digit numbers it was sold, some 600 or 700 something. Let us take this 250 rupees wala jeans, okay. He says, ma'am, it is by mistake, it is 2500 actually. Can you bind him to sell it at 250? No. But he did not realize, he sold it to you at 250. Later he realized you are still in the mall. He rushes after you. Ma'am. You're like, who are you? Ma'am, I sold you my jeans now. Yeah. Ma'am, it is by mistake. I sold you for 250. It is 2500. Can he ask you for a higher price? No. In this case, what happened was, some latest iPhone was priced at, I don't remember the exact price, let us say at 792 rupees. Or it was a 2-digit number also, I don't remember. So, Flipkart or Snapdeal, I don't remember. So what happened was, they priced it at some very low price, in just hundreds. So this person saw it and he clicked on it, and they accepted it also. Later they say this price was quoted by mistake, we are not liable to sell. the court held, if they would not have accepted the offer made by the other person, then it would not have been a sale and they could have refused to sell. But they accepted the order at this price, so they are bound to sell. If in invitation to offer, when you are making the offer, if I realize the mistake, I am not bound to sell. But if I don't realize, I sell, I agree to sell, then the contract is absolutely valid. I hope it is clear to everyone. This topic, last wala topic, it took some time to explain me also. I am giving you 10 minutes. Please write down whatever we have discussed and only then we will move to the next topic. So I guess you are done with whatever we have you have written it, yes, and you have understood invitation to offer, yes. Now I'm going to give you a few cases and you have to give me the answer to that. As in, you don't have to write those big answers as I taught you when I was teaching you that writing the pattern answers, not that, but you have to say yes or no, but that just yes and no is not enough. You have to give me in one line the reason. See, now you can understand yes or no because you've just studied, but when you are revising for the exams later, if you don't have a reason, you will not understand. So I want in one line a reason why it is an offer or why it is not an offer. Okay, so please write it down. Which of the following is or is not an offer? Which of the following is or is not an offer? The first one, the auctioneer displays a TV set before a gathering. The auctioneer displays a TV set before a gathering. The auctioneer displays a TV set before a gathering. Right? The next one, newspaper ad, men's shirt prices reduced from 2000 to 1000. Prices reduced from 2000 to 1000. Done? Chalo, the next one, newspaper ad, lost my gold chain, finder will be rewarded with rupees 10,000. Finder will be rewarded with rupees 10,000. And the last one, A says to B, I will sell you 100 liter of oil. At a price which you may be able to pay. Okay? Chalo, I want one line reason. I am giving you 5 minutes. Just solve all the questions. Okay? Okay, I guess done. Yes. So the first one, an auctioneer displays a TV set before a gathering. Is it an offer? No. Why? Because it's an invitation to offer. Newspaper ad, men's shirt prices reduced from 2000 to 1000. It's a prize money. But this is just a discount sale. When it's a fixed price money, then this. So this is again an invitation to offer. This, yes, because all the essentials of a valid offer are present. I will sell you 100 liters of oil at a price which you may pay. The terms are vague, and when the terms are vague, again the offer is not a valid offer. I hope it's clear. Yes. So now before I move to the next topic, let's just I'm giving you 5 minutes. I'm here with you. I want you to go through all the rules that we have discussed, and only then we'll move to the next topic. So please go through all the rules that we have discussed so far. 5 minutes, discuss, go through, we'll revise, and only then we'll start with the next topic. Okay, I guess done. Yes. So let's just do a recap of all the rules, and then we will move to the next part. So the first rule that we had discussed was an offer must be definite, clear, and not vague. So the terms of the offer must be clear. It should be the other party should be able to understand. If they are not clear, if they are vague, the offer is not valid. What was the next one that we had discussed? The offer must be made with an intention to create a legal relationship. The main reason behind making an offer is that I want you to accept so that we can create a legal contract. So the intention must be to create a legal relationship. Offer may be express or implied. Express is by words, implied is by actions. And when it is express or implied, it may be oral or written. I want all of you to speak up. Offer must be communicated. Offer cannot be accepted in ignorance of the offer. May be conditional, but silence can never result in acceptance. So, if the offer has a term that silence is acceptance, such offer is not valid, except in sale on approval cases. Then next one was a statement of intention, a statement of price, and invitation to offer is not an offer. Acha, tell me one thing. Can I actually say statement of intention, statement of price is actually nothing but invitation to offer only? Yes. Is that clear to everyone? Are you sure about whatever we have discussed so far? Yes. Can I move to the next point now? Now, the next one, what was the next essential? Acceptance. What was the next essential? Acceptance. So what we are going to do now is acceptance. This is a part of unit 1 only. We are still in unit 1. What is acceptance? What is acceptance? When I make an offer to you, you accept it, right? When a person to whom the offer is made when a person to whom offer is made. If you remember, yesterday we had written this definition. Yes, signifies his consent thereto. He is said to have accepted the offer, right? We've already written this definition yesterday, so I don't think we need to write the definition anymore. So let us move to the next part now. Just as offer had legal rules, even acceptance has certain legal rules. Just like offer had legal rules, acceptance also has certain legal rules. So what are the legal rules of acceptance? Listen carefully. A says to B, I want to sell you my horse. Listen carefully. A says to B, I want to sell you my horse. B replies, I am ready to purchase, but in return you have to purchase my donkey. Is it a valid acceptance? I repeat again. A says to B, I want to sell you my horse. B replies, I am ready to purchase, but in return you have to what? You have to what? Purchase my donkey. Is it a valid acceptance? Is it a counter offer? Yes. When you make any modifications to the offer, it is not an acceptance, it's a counter offer. So, is the acceptance valid? No. So, the first rule says that acceptance must be absolute and unqualified. I want everyone's attention here. The first rule says acceptance must be absolute and unqualified. What is absolute as per the terms of the offer? What is absolute? You will get time to write. Come on, 2 days, almost 10 hours we have been together, and now also you don't know. You know, I'll give you time to write. I want everyone's attention here. Acceptance must be absolute and unqualified. What is absolute as per the terms of the offer? What is absolute as per the terms of the offer? What is unqualified? Qualified means changed. So unqualified means not changed or modified. Not changed or modified. So if I put it in very simple words, must not be conditional. That means acceptance must be unconditional. It should not be conditional, and if it is conditional, then it is not an acceptance, it is a counter offer. Is it clear to everyone? I repeat again, acceptance must not be conditional, and if it is conditional, then it is not an acceptance, it is a counter offer. So the first rule, acceptance must be absolute and unqualified. Now let us say A says to B, I want to sell you my car at rupees 4.5 lakh. Remember yesterday? Yes. He says, I accept it at 4 lakh. Is it a valid acceptance? Is it a valid acceptance? No. Why? Because this is a counter offer. When I make modifications to the offer, it's a counter offer. Is it clear to everyone? Yes? Yes. Now listen carefully. A says to B, I want to sell you my flat at 20 lakh. Remember a little while ago something like this only we had done. Yes. A says to A makes an offer to B, I want to sell you my flat at 20 lakh. Right? So I repeat again, A makes an offer to B, I want to sell you my flat at 20 lakh. Now what happens is, listen carefully. Now what happens is B pays 10 lakh and says, I will pay rest of the 10 lakh in 5 monthly installments. Same example, remember? Okay. A says to B, I want to sell you my flat at 20 lakh. B immediately pays off 10 lakh, take this 10 lakh and the rest 10 lakh I'll give you in 10 equal installments. Is this a valid acceptance? Is this a valid acceptance? Think and tell me, is this a valid acceptance? Yes or no? Is this a valid acceptance? Yes or no? Is this a valid acceptance? Yes, ma'am. Same. Money is same only, no? Yeah. Money is absolutely same. Is this a valid acceptance? Think and tell me, is this a valid acceptance? Please understand. When nothing is given about payment, means you have to make the payment at one go. When nothing is given about the payment, that means you have to make the payment at one go. When you say I am paying 10 lakh now and rest 10 lakh in installments, don't you think you are making a conditional acceptance? When I don't tell you anything about when you should pay me, that means you should pay me immediately. So when you, you should pay me immediately, you should pay me the whole amount. When you agree to pay in installments, you are making a conditional acceptance, and acceptance cannot be conditional. So is it valid? So is it valid? No, it is not valid. Is it clear to everyone? So acceptance must be absolute and unqualified. It should not be conditional. Now listen carefully. A says to B, I want to sell you my flat. Okay. B says, willing after my solicitor checks your title over the house. Right? A says to B, I want to sell you my house. B says, I am ready to purchase after my solicitor checks your title over the house. Who's a solicitor? He's like a lawyer. Then why solicitor? They do not practice law. They just give legal advices. They will not go to the courts to fight cases. They will just give advice, legal advice. They are solicitors. So I repeat again, A says to B, I want to sell you my house. B says, I am ready to purchase. I just want my solicitor to check your title over the house. What does this mean? I just want my lawyer, that is solicitor, to check whether you have a right to sell or not. Is it a valid acceptance? Full condition he has given. I mean, seriously, full condition he has given. Is it a valid acceptance? Tell me. Is this a valid acceptance? Is this a valid acceptance? First of all, I have a right to check whether the seller has a right to sell or not. Yes or no? Yes. If the seller does not have a right to sell, it is me who would be at a loss. So before I purchase anything, I have a right to check whether the seller has a right to sell or not. Yes, yes. Does this make it conditional? Yes, but it is absolutely, sorry. Does it make it, I was writing conditional, no, I'm so sorry. Does it make it conditional? Yes. But does it make the acceptance void? No, the acceptance is absolutely valid. Any condition which says that I want to check whether the seller has a right to sell or not is not considered as conditional, and it is absolutely valid. But any other condition other than this is considered as a conditional acceptance and is not valid. So the first rule says acceptance must be absolute and unqualified. Is it clear to everyone? Yes. So I want you to write this down and then we'll move ahead. Okay. Okay, so I guess it's clear to everyone. Yes. Now tell me one thing. A makes an offer to B. A makes an offer to B. B goes to C and says to C, I accept A's offer. Right? A makes an offer to B and B goes to C and says that A has made such and such offer to me and I accept A's offer. Is it a valid offer? So I repeat again, A has made an offer to B, B goes to C and says I accept the offer. Is it a valid acceptance? Is it a valid acceptance? Who made you the offer? A. Who should know about your acceptance? A. Right? You should go and communicate to him. Saying it to C doesn't help. If you say, C, please go and say A that I accept your offer. Is it valid? Yes. So that means just like offer, acceptance must be what? To whom? To the offeree. Ayo. Seriously, I feel now I am exhausted. So offer must be communicated to the, I am so sorry, acceptance must be communicated to the offerer. Is it clear to everyone? Yes, chalo, let's write down this. Chalo, done? Yes. Now for the day we'll wind up here. Before we leave, we'll just do a recap. We had started with the essentials. What were the essentials given under the Act? Offer and acceptance, consideration, then capacity to contract, then free consent, then lawful object and agreements not expressly declared void. The others, that is, which are not given under the Act, two parties, intention to create a legal relationship, then what was the next one? What was the next one? Certainty and possibility of performance and legal formalities, right? So these were the 10 essentials. Then we had started with the essentials. The first one that we started with, offer. What is offer? What is offer? Willingness to do or not to do something with the view of obtaining the other person's consent to such acts or abstinence. How many types of offer are there? 5. What are the 5 types of offer? General, special, cross, counter, standing. What is a general offer? Made to the world at large. Who can accept? Anyone. What is a special or a specific offer? Made to a definite person or group. Who can accept? Only that group or person. Cross offer, identical offers in ignorance. What is the result? Both the offers will lapse, so no contract. Counter offer. What is counter offer? Modification of the original offer. What happens? Original offer lapses, so contract can be made. Standing or open offer, which has a specific time period within which the offer must be accepted. If not, the offer will lapse. Is it clear to everyone? Yes. Now, the next one that we had discussed were the legal rules of offer. Must be definite, clear and not vague, right? Must be made with an intention to create a legal relationship, correct? Then what was the third one? Express or implied. Expressed by words, implied by actions. When it is expressed, oral or written. Must be communicated. Cannot be accepted in ignorance. May be conditional. Not must be nahi, may be conditional. But a term, the non-compliance of which would amount to acceptance, is not a valid offer. Then statement of price, statement of intention and invitation to offer is not an offer. When we say offer must be distinguished, when we say offer must be distinguished from a statement of intention, a statement of price, an invitation to offer, what we actually mean in this case is, what we actually mean is that all these three are not offer, right? Then we had started with acceptance. What is acceptance? Willingness to do or not to do something with a view. I gave you offer. What is acceptance? When the person to whom the offer is made signifies his consent thereto. He is said to have accepted the offer. Just like offer, there are legal rules of acceptance also. The first one is it should be absolute and unqualified. To put it in a very simple word, it must be unconditional. Right? It must be unconditional. What was the second rule? What was the second rule? Must be communicated. To whom? To the person who has made the offer. I hope everything was clear. Do not come to the class without revising. I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you and bye-bye.